Get your popcorn with a little tapatio, little tajin on top, and get ready for Tattoo and the Crew right here on YouTube. We are all the way live from Dash Studios in Hollywood, California. It's about that time, man. Very funny lady in the building. Aida Rodriguez!
Yes! First of all, Tat, do you gotta treat every guest that we do like a fucking boxing match? She's a comedian, not a boxer. Gosh.
I had to parallel park, and I was like, I know they were like, look at this dumbass lady. I know that all the men driving by were like, had to be a woman. Yeah.
Well, good morning to you, Aida.
Good morning, buenos dias.
Buenos dias, Mama. I'm so happy you're here with us this morning. This girl, I love Aida because she's like one of the most outspoken comedians I've ever met. And I love that because I feel like, you know, as a woman, you probably go through the ringer as a comedian, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, she said that?
Yeah, oh,
right?
Yeah, I said that on stage yesterday. They were shocked at some of the stuff that was...
Where were you on stage?
I was at the Hollywood Improv.
Nice.
And it's so funny because like a white guy will go on stage and be like, we should rape babies, you know, AIDS is awesome, and they'll say whatever they want, and people are just like, yeah, then, right, then
Yeah.
Latina goes on stage, and I'm like, you know, whatever I say, and then they're like, oh my God, do you believe she said that?
Yeah.
She said the F word.
Is it hard being Latina and a female comedian? Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful than a funny woman, a woman with a good sense of humor like Aida has. But she was just a lot more taller than I was, and that shit wasn't too funny for me.
Yeah, because comedy lacks representation when it comes to Latinos, especially Latinas. So I feel like the burden of it feels like you're carrying everybody, you know.
Right.
And so even like when people pick me to do stuff, they're like, well, she's Puerto Rican, she's not Mexican.
All right, y'all. Seriously, this is a public service announcement of the moment. Just remember that there are so many different types of Latinos. We come in different shades, shapes, colors. We speak with, we might all speak Spanish, you know, right? Like, even if we do have the commonality of knowing Spanish, we speak it with different accents. Like, not all Latinos are from the same place and speak the same way. Get it through your head.
And I'm like, we got to get out of that. We have to find our unity in Latinidad because we need representation.
Right, just Latinos overall in
Right.
general. You know what I mean? I think it's hard being a Latino in the entertainment industry. Period.
I do too.
It doesn't matter, comedy, radio, acting, music. You know what I'm saying? Unless you are like your banda, unless you are in that genre of Mexican music. But we're not gonna just sing banda and listen to banda. You know, we got amazing, talented R&B artists. We got rappers, singers. We got amazing actors.
Even reggaeton artists.
And it's just hard. It's just hard to get a fucking break.
Yeah. You know what's funny? They always say we're looking for Latinos. We want more Latinos.
Yeah, right. What are they?
And it's a lie because the truth is that our problem is us. We don't have solidarity. Now, everywhere I go, I talk about this because we don't. It's like, oh, he's Saudi. Oh, he's from Guatemala. Oh, he's from Honduras. Oh, he's Dominican. And so we don't have a collective body. So we are the biggest minority population in this country, and I beg to differ that we're even a minority.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why we shouldn't be everywhere.
And we got great stories, good
Yeah,
comedy,
man.
good stuff. I mean, I think I swear, like if you just see My Family, that's comedy itself.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, when you talk about your dad, I'm just like, Dad, are you exaggerating? He's like, no, my dad really talks like that.
Yeah. It's funny because we were just, laughing about my dad, a well-known heroin addict who has spent 37 years in prison of my 40. Yeah, I love you, Dad. And does he?
Yeah, he does.
That's why you heard my dad. We had him on the show on Father's Day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But really quick, since you're very outspoken and you don't bite your tongue, just, we'll get into a great interview. I just want to focus on this since it was hot topic just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, girl, we got into this heated debate. Well, it wasn't really a debate.
No, actually, it was a fucking debate. It was. And I'm still fucking debating on it right now about J.Lo and A.Rod not making it to 2020, but this fucking naive La La Land Raq-C just thinks they're gonna fucking be married in holy matrimony, and that's not happening. So fuck you, Raq-C, and your fucking J.Lo love shit.
No, telling me that I live in La La Land when it comes to love.
Very much.
Like J.Lo does, I guess.
You're very naive, when it comes to love.
I'm actually really smart.
It seems like Raq-C really wants love, like really, really bad.
Like, I didn't even ask you for your opinion. Focus on your love life, get that shit right, and then come try to counsel me, tattoo.
I was, I forgot how it was that we get into the J.Lo, we got into Jennifer Lopez, and I told her Jennifer Lopez and A.Rod will not last, and remember, we got until December of 2020, which I think will end before that. Oh, yeah, I remember that debate very well. We still debate about it. J.Lo and A.Rod, she believes that, Raq-C believes that they're in La La Land, and that something like herself, that they're gonna last in holy matrimony. And, Raq-C's just, really naive when it comes to love, actually really stupid when it comes to love, and she has no single clue of that they will not be together in 2020. Yeah, what do you think about that, Raq-C? I said deep down, Mark Anthony has this woman's heart, man. They have children together. They had a life together.
They had an album together.
It's like they have a whole album together, and it's like all love. And Raq-C disagreed, and she's like, "What? No, this is the one for her." And I'm like, "Raq-C, he's A.Rod. This is a fucking professional baseball player with $1 billion. He's a good-looking guy." And
how are you gonna just go ahead and put salt on my girl Jennifer Lopez and A.Rod's relationship? Give them a chance. I guess they put on a good show on social media because a lot of people swallow it. Wow, she found the one. He found you.
But Ida. We took dozens of calls, and I outnumbered the hell out of Raq-C. It was embarrassing, to be honest with you. What is your opinion on that, really quick?
It's hard for me. I don't like talking about. I can't talk bad about J.Lo because J.Lo's Puerto Rican, and I believe in
unity,
uplifting my people. But I will say this. There's a thing called pattern recognition, and I guess if you look at the pattern of J.Lo's, trajectory when it comes to men, there is this, I think she's in love with being in love, and I think that I don't necessarily know what A.Rod's intentions are. I'm always leery of people who live out all their best moments on the internet. Because you already know that was orchestrated. Oh no, get on your knee, turn this way. No, the lighting. That just seems so, rehearsed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem, I don't want to speak that negativity onto them and say it's not going to
I'll speak it for you.
It's okay. But what I'm saying is that I don't know that is her forever, guy.
Right.
I hope it lasts, but I don't know. I feel what you're saying.
See, and my opinion is, I'm not over here saying, oh, J.Lo's gonna go on and marry another guy and another guy and another, and she's like this whorish fucking person. I just said she belongs to Mark Anthony. He has her heart and she has his. And they have something very special together that I think one day they're gonna end back up together because that is true love. They got real love. They got
so you're a romantic too over there.
I'm a very romantic guy.
Raq-C's over here, kissing frogs till she finds her prince. and you sitting in the tower waiting on their princess.
Well,
it's all the same stuff.
It's the crazy thing. Is
exactly.
So
Tab really thinks that I live in La La Land and that I'm the most naive girl when it comes to love. I'm not. I'm just cautious.
If she only knew the truth about it, it's like I have the mother of my kids. We have
That's his true love.
We have this this crazy radical story, and that's why I'm saying like Raq-C is a person that can think, man, how could you? That's not love, and that's not that. Well, she doesn't get it
because I don't have kids, so I don't understand the deepness of that connection. Because we were talking about how I was telling him how I think it's really cool. And forget J.Lo and A.Rod. I actually know people and couples that could co-parent. You know?
And I said that's white people shit. I said that's white people shit.
He said if you could co-parent with somebody you really didn't.
That's Brady Bunch.
This is why things don't get better, because you just said Latinos don't co-parent. Like, this is where the problem begins. First of all, you gotta believe that co-parenting is possible.
That's Brady Bunch shit. Latinos do not fucking co-parent. We don't do that shit. And I told Rox, let me ask you a question. Are you gonna be cool? You're 6 months down in a relationship to a year. You're with this fucking great guy. And he tells you, hey, Raq-C, I wanna go to this concert. I'm gonna take my kids. Their mother's gonna be there with us. And Raq-C's like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
But I was also telling him that my parents didn't co-parent after they got divorced, so I don't want to be that way.
I don't, and I don't believe her either. Like, I just don't, and like that's just like it's just hard to do that. And A.Rod and J.Lo and they're able to do that because I think, it's Mark Anthony and J.Lo, not A.Rod and J.Lo. I just think that they love each other that much.
Now, I will say this. I remember watching Cristina when J.Lo was dating Diddy, or whatever his name is, Puff Daddy, Puff the Magic Dragon,
yeah,
whatever calls himself right now.
Sean Cole, the hell is he?
But when they were dating, he was Puff Daddy at the time. And Cristina asked her about Mark Anthony because she was working on a song with Mark Anthony.
The No Me Ames, right? That song?
It was before they started dating, right? And Cristina was like, I heard rumors, that you and Mark Anthony, and she just started blushing. She was like, no, I'm dating, Puff Daddy. But at that moment, I knew. The thing about her situation is so interesting because she doesn't go far from the ranch, right? So she's dating Diddy, she does a star with Mark Anthony, she's dating Mark Anthony, she goes to games to see baseball with Mark Anthony, she starts dating A.Rod. And so like there are pictures with her and all her exes together. Before they even jumped off.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dynamic.
So leave it up to a comedian to speak up and say the truth. Because at the end of the day, Tattoo and Raq-C, what we both do have in common is that we have big hearts and that we both believe in love. And I love that about Tat, but his view is different than mine on love. Or maybe it's the same. He just has a different way of expressing it.
She's too busy. She can't go on Match.com.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, we didn't work out. Who else is in the room? All right, it's your turn. You know what I mean? It's so interesting.
And I thought to myself, it's got to be cool dating a comedian. Is it hard to date for you yourself? Are you married or anything like that? Or being a comedian, do you always got to be funny? Like your guys expect you to be the voice or the funny person and personality?
They try to out-funny me. Actually. That's the worst.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst because I just want to be a person. So I'm not one of those comedians who's on all the time.
Got you.
I'm not always walking around telling jokes like a payasa. So for me, it's like, can we just have a conversation?
Yeah.
The pressure, a lot of times I just don't like to tell people so I can just have a regular conversation because I don't know what it is in some people's minds. Once they hear that you're a comedian, they automatically think that they gotta be funny. And it's like, we're not on stage. Like, it's all good. We talking about coffee. Let's just keep talking about coffee. With men, it's very hard dating comedians. The thing about being a comedian when you're a woman is that you have to operate from a certain level of testosterone because you have to go on stage and command an audience of a lot of people. And I wouldn't say testosterone, I think that's sexist. You have to operate from a certain level of power and being strong and being able to command a room and being able on stage by yourself talking to hundreds of people. And that is not very feminine to some men. So So it can be hard dating somebody like that. I'm sure you have that situation as well, Roxy. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I tell men, don't listen to me on the radio. Like,
I think that's a good sign. That's cool, right?
I just don't, or I'll lie about what I do.
Me too. When I was on Match.com, I had UPS driver. A lot of times, I think I've dated people who thought that I was gonna plateau where I was, and so it's cool. She does her little comedy shows. I have my ex-boyfriend who's Cuban, and he was like, "I'm waiting for you to finish that little comedy thing so you could just get on with life."
Right.
And then I broke up with him. And I was like, I'm gonna get on with the comedy thing.
First of all,
done with you.
This ain't little, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I hate when people tell me, "Oh yeah, I heard your little morning show." Like,
oh, no.
What is my little what? Like, you know, you can go ahead and say I got a little penis because that's true, but don't talk about my little morning show because this is very big to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? This is my baby right here. You know, so don't ever, you know, I can. Isn't that the worst? Like, oh yeah, I heard the little. Oh yeah, your little card. I just said, like, I hate that word. Be very careful what you put little in front of.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It could be offensive to some people.
Very much.
So how was it being part of the 8th season of The Last Comic Standing?
So Last Comic Standing.
Do you notice how we were like debating about it, and then Roxy changed the subject right away to Last Comic Standing and trying to get back to the interview? Yeah. Well, I didn't appreciate that very much, Roxy, but yeah, it's your show too.
It was interesting because I read this article yesterday about Latinas, like, are you the first Latina to... I was the only Latina in the top 10, right? That out of like a whole thousands of comedians, we got down to like, I think 100, and it was me, the only Latina, and then there was Eric, Nick Guerra, and there was some other Latinos there. It was cool and it was good, the comedy part, but the reality show part for me wasn't fun because I'm not a reality show person, you know.
Yeah.
I'm from the hood, so you say something sideways to me and I'm ready like.
I'm gonna slap you.
Yeah, I want to punch you in your mouth. So, you know, that was a hard part to navigate, but it was great for me because it created, it put me on a stage, a national stage.
Yeah.
Set me out as a headliner, you know, across the country.
And great comedians that came out of that show.
Yeah. Gabriel Iglesias was on. Gabriel Iglesias was on Last Comic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Felipe was on Last Comic. Yeah, he won Last Comic.
Yeah, we had some good people come. Amy Schumer was on Last Comic Standing, and Christella did Last Comic Standing. There are a lot of people that did it. Ralphie May came from Last Comic Standing.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ralphie. He was always a good dude to me.
But yeah, I started as an actress and then I became a comedian. And so comedy just took off for me when I started doing it. I didn't expect it to take off the way that it did, but it just did. And it was something that was in me because I wanted to do comedy when I was little. And my mom would be like, no, nadie se va a casar contigo if you walk around being a cool.
Right, so obviously when you were a little girl, you realized you were funny, and that's like, you know, that's where it all started for you.
And I loved comedy. Like, I loved watching Richard Pryor and Johnny Carson. Like, I was fascinated by the way they connected to people. And I was like, I want to do that, right? Like, that was, because it was healing. Like, you listen to Richard Pryor's story, and there's so many horrible things that happened to him. He grew up in a brothel. But
what?
Yeah, his grandmother was a madam. And so, like, when you hear his story, it's like he took all his pain and he worked through his pain by being funny.
Yeah.
So that, for me, it was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as a comedian, because you know you hear the stories of like Robin Williams, right? Do you feel like you're like a dark person?
I am very dark, and I have depression. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, I
and I love that you could admit it.
Oh, you know what? Because I think that I do it for younger people, especially our people, because you know my Latinos are very anti-therapy. They think, you know, my mom would be like, you don't need to go to no therapist. You're not crazy. And it's like there's a big spectrum between where normal and crazy. There's a whole world that lives in between, and therapy is good for you. Like,
yeah,
it's like going to the doctor for your brain. But and there's such a stigma with it. Yeah, I suffer from the worst depression. I don't take medication, so when I go down, I gotta go down and I gotta thug it out. And it's hard. It's really hard. And in comedy, you know, comedy is depressing because the industry makes you feel like there's only room for one person at the top. So everybody's always scrambling for that spot, which is a lie, because the truth is that if you're making money, and if 25 comedians are making money, there's room for 25 comedians at the top, you know, but you're deluded into believing that there's only one spot. It's such a singular sport, right?
Yeah.
So you get it, and it's so dark because most comedians have had dark lives, which is why they choose comedy, because comedy is healing for the darkness. And it's just, you know, it can be really, really, the highs are so high and then the lows are so low. Like when I take my Netflix special, right?
I feel that ever since Aida Rodriguez did our morning show, she's gotten more famous. Like, I just see her everywhere now. I think it's just because she did our show, for sure.
Netflix special on a Wednesday.
I was there. That's the one that I went to, right?
You were there. So the Thursday, I have my first meeting with Showtime to pitch a TV show, right? And then the following week, I'm out all over town pitching my TV show to the networks. The next day, I'm in Reno in this like comedy club, and there are 12 people in my audience.
Oh,
so you go from
gosh.
like you were at my table.
It was
so
popping.
loud, people standing around the corner. There's Instagramming how they can't get in. You go and you're meeting with these executives. They love you, and then boom, 12 people, some chicken tenders. And then you're walking to a hotel room by yourself.
Yeah.
So you go from here to there in a matter of 6 days.
Yeah.
And that's what comedy is all the time. So when you're hot, it's like, oh, right now you got this, you got.
I think everyone should do a radio show if they want to get more famous. So if that's in your agenda, come do the show. We'll make you famous. And does that make you feel that way in a sense where like the stage is your high?
The sanctuary, absolutely.
You know, having a crowd in front of you, you know what I mean? Like me,
wow, that gives me the chills, man. Because you know, I remember there's been, and I know you relate to this, Tat. Like there's moments where we've gone to the Staples Center, we go to concerts, and we introduce people on stage. It's like 17,000 people in the audience, and you're backstage, and you're saying hello, slapping hands with the artist, and then you go home by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got a dog. Or you know, maybe when you don't have your kids with you, you go home to your dog.
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn, I just finished taking 100 pictures, signing autographs, saying what's up, and then I get to go home to be by myself. Like, how depressing.
Or in sometimes in my case, not that this is about me, but you know, being on top of, you know, the biggest morning show in the world and getting fired. And then, you know.
What show was that?
With Big Boy in the morning. I was with Power 106.
Oh, that's why I know
with Big Boy's neighborhood.
Yeah.
I did tell.
You lost the weight. That's why you didn't recognize.
Yes.
I worked 10 years with Big Boy, and then you're like just on this, like, you're like, oh my, you're the best, you're the best, oh, you're the best. And then you get fired. And then you're like, I swear, when I got fired from Power 106, I thought my phone would be ringing tomorrow. I'll be right back in this bitch tomorrow.
Yep.
No, it just doesn't ring, it doesn't ring, and it goes for a week to 2 weeks, so not to a month, to 2 months, and then you're just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, and you start thinking all these thoughts, am I not funny? Am I not this? Am I not talented? Am I not creative? Like, what happened? No one, not even the people that you work with, your peers call you. So it was a very high to a very low, but then, you know, at where I'm at right now, you know, I still have some mental issues and situations like that. I think a lot of us do.
Of course.
Especially people that do, you gotta be a little crazy to do radio, you know what I'm saying?
You do.
And you know, but, you know, I'm trying to figure all that part out, you know?
You figure it out through the art, and it's like you go from highs to lows, and I guess the trick is not letting your self-esteem come from what happens on the outside. Like, you got to build yourself up on the inside so that you're not affected. You stay in a balanced place. So when you're winning, you stay in that place, and when you're losing, you stay in that place. Because if you only feel good about yourself when you're winning, and then when you're not winning, you feel bad about yourself, you will eventually jump off of
that could be dangerous.
Yeah. Right there. Damn, that's like take me to church right there.
Hey, tell a friend to subscribe right now. Yeah, literally right now. Call them. Subscribe. Tattoo and the crew.
Yo, El Chapo just got sentenced to life in prison, plus an extra 30 years. And a U.S. attorney says never again will Guzman pour poison over our borders.
Oh, and I love how they say that he got sentenced to life in prison unless he manages to escape.
And I love how, yeah.
Okay, panitas, you guys go to work. Go get El Chapo.
Yeah, I love that. Like Ida was like, "It's okay if I say, me free El Chapo." I'm like, yeah, yes, I'm with that too. It's like it's not like that. I'm encouraging this fucking a mission to go, get El Chapo out of prison. But man, people don't understand El Chapo's story
or his power.
Whatever he's a drug dealer. Yes, well, fine. But he's taking care of a lot of people, man.
Tat really thinks like I don't get it. Maybe I don't want to get it, okay? Just let me not get it, or maybe let me get it. You're gonna forever not know if I get it or if I don't get it. Everybody gets it the way they want to get it, okay?
But let me tell you something. When they say he's a drug dealer, I'm gonna go down. That's why I do comedy, because I want to say whatever I want to say. You know
isn't that a great tool to have? Like being a comedian, you get that pass, right?
And you get and sometimes you don't get the pass, but I don't give a shit. You know how many U.S. government officials are drug dealers?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's a drug dealer. When Noriega had the drugs in his house and George Bush Sr. sent them over there, he knew exactly where the drugs were. They were like, no, it's in the basement, in the red box. It's like, we act like, and listen, I'm not saying that the pain that's caused by, the drug phenomenon in parts of Mexico, which is happening all over the world, not just in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I ain't scared to go to Mexico like they try to make it seem. And I'm Puerto Rican, and I'm like, I'll go to Puerto Nuevo to go get my lobster. But when I tell they start saying things like the story, that you gotta listen to the story and then you gotta think about who the story is coming from, right? So the U.S. Press is talking about El Chapo, but they gotta demonize El Chapo during a time where they're trying to make immigrants look bad, because this is such a political point for this campaign.
Yep.
And then you got poor white people thinking that Mexicans and Central Americans are coming here to take their job.
Yep. And they're going to use El Chapo as an example.
Oh, they just keep using that. It's all part of the play. I don't know if you remember last time when the immigration argument was during the last campaign, it was the swine flu. And they were saying that Mexicans were bringing the swine flu over here, when the swine flu is one strand of thousands of flu strands, and you can die from the flu anyway. But it was because that was when we went to Arizona and we marched, because they're always trying to make Mexicans look.
Well, Roxy's from El Salvador. She's a Salvadorian, and you don't want to fuck around and tell her that she's Mexican. She'll cut your balls off for that type of shit.
Like, Mexicans are not the only people who migrate here illegally. They come from China, they come from Africa, but they come from everywhere.
Armenia.
Oh yeah, Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
But they give immigration a brown face, and it's so annoying, because I'm like, you know how many people come here from Asia and overstayed their visas? A lot. You know what I mean? So I'm tired of it. So when we talking about El Chapo, yes, El Chapo has committed crimes. So is your president.
Exactly, and I feel like Donald Trump is behind this.
He's from New York, and Rudy, whatever
Giuliani
is on the squad, and you know what?
No, Donald Trump has personally said, I can't go back and remember exactly what it was, but Donald Trump has personally said something about El Chapo. You know what I'm saying? He has actually worded his name, and fucking Trump. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. And that's what I say all the time. That's what I said in a tweet, which I guess some people think is controversial. A lot of people love it, by the way. A lot of people love it.
Yeah.
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now.
You know what's funny is that the person that said, "Let's
I only play that for comedy."
But it just pisses me off though. But and I have to address it. The funny thing about the man that says "Make America Great Again" that originally begins as a complaint. Because if America is so great, why do you have to make it great again?
Right.
Right? So obviously you're right there with those young women. But what I'm going to say is Donald Trump, whose parents were immigrants, and who's been married to 3 immigrants, right?
Currently.
And his wife was here illegally, and her family are beneficiaries of chain migration, which he's against. How dare you? He's not talking about them because they're immigrants. He's talking about them because they're women of color.
Yep.
And that is why it's racist. It has nothing to do with immigration. Because if they would have been 4 blonde white girls from Czech, whatever you call it, or Poland or whatever, he would not have said that. Or whatever that made up country Melania is from. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have said that. It's because es una Latina, una negrita, you know what I mean? That's where that comes from.
But Donald Trump doesn't have 1 ounce of racism in him. He tweeted that. I don't have 1 ounce of racism inside of me.
Yeah, right.
Really?
Let's talk about the Netflix special. I was telling Raq-C, like when you do an HBO or Netflix,
You've made it.
You've made it. You're like maybe not in the financial or the mansions and things like that, but I'm saying as far as comedy goes, as far as for your fans go, you know what I mean? When we're the viewer, we're the one that's gonna watch it, you know. But when you have a Netflix special and you're on HBO, doesn't matter how you're living, it's what we're hearing.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a special on Showtime, one on HBO, and now I have Netflix coming out.
Damn, so you're covering all networks.
Yeah, I did Showtime. I was the only Latina on that show. The Shaq All-Star Comedy Jam.
Nice.
And I was on there with Bill Bellamy. I did the last season, so I ended up being the only Latina to ever take the Shaq. And then I did Entre Nos on HBO. And Latinos that are English speaking, please watch it. It's not in Spanish. They called it Entre Nos. I don't know why. Because somebody thought that was genius. But
wow, Entre Nos means, between us.
Yeah. But the problem is that people like skip past it because they think it's in Spanish.
I would have thought it was in Spanish.
It's in English. And
do you do comedy in Spanish?
I do comedy in Spanish. I just haven't been. I taped 2 TV shows. I was on Lagrimitas y Cos, and I did a show called Locos y Contentos that was in Spanish. I have to write a new set and I gotta work on it because I don't like, a lot of people, Latinos that speak Spanish that do comedy, they're like, I can do stand up in Spanish, and then they go out and then they embarrass themselves.
Right.
Because Latinos are like, that's not funny. You gotta write and you gotta work out the set.
Is that a hard part, writing and coming up with material? When do you get into the zone of like, this is my time to write now?
Oh, I have my moments when I write at night. I'm usually asleep and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and it starts hitting me, and then I'll start writing at night.
Really?
I'm very nocturnal in my writing. I write on stage, so I take a lot of chances. You see me perform.
Yeah.
I'll go on stage and just start talking, and then that's how I find my jokes. I learned that from Jeff Garcia.
Wow. Because
he's really good at. He was the one that used to tell me, go on stage and just talk about your day. That's how you find your new material.
Really?
Yeah, it's for me, it works that way. I'm a risk taker. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So going on stage and saying, I'm going to just talk about my day and see how this goes, and feeling the pressure of having to be funny, it drives me to like new jokes and stuff.
Do you talk about your love life when you're on stage? Because I've noticed like a lot of men do that. Like, I'm a lot of male comments are like, so I'm married. The married life. Do you do that? Is it different as a woman?
No, a lot of women do. I don't. You know what? I like to keep some parts of my life private because everything else is so public. And I started talking about motherhood. And then I realized that people were like, oh, you're a mom comic. And I was like, nah, I'm a person that happens to be a mom. I'm also a daughter. So for my Netflix special, I didn't talk about being a mom.
I noticed.
Because I was like, I'm a person. Before I was a mother, I was a daughter, and I wanted to talk about my family and that
your crazy ass family.
Yeah.
Dysfunctional ass family. We all come from dysfunctional families.
Where did you grow up?
In Miami.
In Miami.
Yeah, I grew up in Miami. I lived in New York when I was younger, but Miami is where I grew up. That's what I'm claiming.
What's funny to you? Who's funny to you?
So, what's funny to me is I like people that turn real life situations that everybody can relate to into comedy. Who's funny to me is, so my favorite comedians that I respect and look up to are Richard Pryor and George Carlin. Those are my heroes. Nice. I feel like my goal is to be if Richard Pryor and George Carlin had a baby.
The interview with Aida definitely showed me the difference between like a real stand-up comedian and Raq-C, who sometimes thinks she's a stand-up comedian.
Like that's my goal in comedy, right? I love Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle is one of our greats for sure. And right now I think he and Bill Burr are like our greatest comedians.
Oh, I love Bill Burr.
Bill Burr is one of my favorites.
Is fucking great. I freaking can watch him. I actually go on YouTube and just type of Bill Burr shit, and I mean, I can just get, because I feel like I have like, again, not to get into like the depression part, but like
you could be a comic.
There's such a high here in radio.
Listen, by the way, this room feels so good. I've done several interviews here, and I always feel like, damn, do I gotta work here too? Like, I gotta run the interview? It feels like you found your lane,
I love it when we get guests in the studio that talk about how good the energy feels in the studio and how they want to come back, and it's been like their best interview they've ever done because it's all about the vibe and the energy. But Tat will forever swear that I'm, like, he gets energy and spirituality, and at the same time he doesn't. But if it wasn't for me having good energy and Tat feeding off of my vibe, like, we create that energy,
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. But definitely, I feel like this is such a high, right? And then once the show's over, it's like wah, wah, wah,
for the rest of the day.
Back to being David, not Tattoo. And then I feel like comedy for me is my number one thing in my life is music and comedy.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's just the very depressive part of myself that I need these things to help me, get going again. And I'll go home and I'll YouTube, I love comedy specials. I love stand-up. I love Bill Cosby himself. I love, I don't know if everybody likes Bill Cosby now, but I'm talking about
Bill Cosby was a great
when Bill Cosby was Bill Cosby. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy, Raw, and I remember watching Raw and it being like it was like we couldn't watch it. It was like it was bad.
I know.
Like, you can't watch Raw, but this is I had a very cool mom in a sense where she's like, you guys want to watch Raw? And we were like, yes, Mom, please. She's like, come on, you guys can watch it. And then that was my introduction to like, oh my God, I love Eddie Murphy. I love being on stage, walking across the stage is you, a mic, and the crowd. I gotta give you a lot of props because like Roxy says, Tat, you could be a comedian. I absolutely can. I get out on stage and I do rock out a crowd for Big Three and Ice Cube and Oscar De La Hoya.
More like a host.
And the Golden Boy, and I'm a host. But to get on stage and to entertain people, to make them laugh, I'd rather do it behind a mic where no one's looking at me because I would feel the pressure if I don't
like, damn, they didn't laugh.
They didn't laugh.
So next.
One day, I may possibly reconsider some of those comments that I made and consider doing stand-up for my family at home. That's about it. Because if I'm gonna get booed or if I'm gonna get a tomato thrown at me, it might as well come from one of my kids or the mother of my kids. See, I can handle that, but I don't think I can handle just a stranger throwing a tomato at me. I may reconsider that for sure.
Next time you guys host one of those big events, you bring me with you so I can co-host with you, and then I'll write all the jokes, and I'll be right there next to you to make sure the jokes work.
Done.
And that's how.
Done.
That's how you get. Because the thing about it is that some people are born comedians, and some people develop into the greatest comedians, and everybody wasn't. Some people stumble upon it. We're so insecure about other people becoming what we are that we don't extend ourselves to them, and we should, especially Latinos, right?
Yeah.
Like this one I know was doing stand-up and wanted to do it. Cooch was helping her.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that shit was nerve-wracking.
I'm on the road a lot, but I'm like, I would love to just sit down and say, let's write some jokes and let's go. Like I did it with Lisa Vidal. She's an actress, right?
I love her.
Dear Mary Jane, and I Like It Like That. Amazing actress. She's funny. I'll put her on stage. She and I did and I said, let's go. And she went on stage and she was fearless because she has some support. So when you do that, it exposes you to a different thing and it exposes me to a different thing. Because what you guys do is an art form unto itself. And what's funny with what we do? People who are out there who think they have great personalities think they can do what we do.
Oh man!
I'd be great on radio.
And then they get on the mic and they're like,
and they look at the board and they're like, "Que esto?"
Right.
oh my God, I just realized, do me and Tat have the same laugh? We laugh so much alike. It's crazy.
But you know what? Also too, like when I would read like spots and like, hey, if you want to lose weight and look great, call 1-800-GET-IT. And I would do these fucking spots, right? And people would be like, I can do that. I'm like, just read this in 30 seconds.
No.
Read this shit in 30 seconds. I can do it. Do you want to lose weight and look great?
And they sound like they're reading. They don't feel like you gotta sound like you're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's so insulting sometimes,
Yeah.
What I do want to say is because I can't. My special was produced by Tiffany Haddish.
Nice.
And Wanda Sykes.
You and her like homegirls, huh?
Yeah, she's a
she loves you,
and I love her. And I'll tell you that she said, when I make it, I'm gonna go back and get my friends. She produced 6 comedy specials for 6 women, and they're all very talented and very funny. They all drop very shortly, but it will be 6 women. And what I want to say is this: it took 2 African American women who have power. One African American, Tiffany, was the one who used her power and her money to give me an opportunity. And all I want to say is that I look forward to the day where Latinos can do that for Latinos, because the truth is that nobody was throwing the rope back to me. It's always been Tamara Goins for the Shaq All-Star, and Shaquille O'Neal. And it's always been black people who've been like, come on girl, you funny. We don't care that you're not African American, we got you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the day where Latinos who have power in comedy can do that without being insecure. Wow. Because a lot of us, you don't hear it. And a shout out to Deborah Iglesias, who does look out for Gina Brillon, who's Puerto Rican. He does look out for her.
Why do you think that is?
You know what I love? I love that Tat recognizes game. You know what they say? Game recognizes game, and I know that Tat recognizes it.
Insecurity. It's like it's the if I
they don't want someone to take the spot
to pass them up.
Yeah. I wonder where that comes from. It's like sometimes I feel like that's genetic in the Latin culture, because it's not even just entertainment. Like when you among family, small business owners. Like I know small business owners that they won't share their like, how did you get your permit for this? Oh, look, let her figure it out. Like, right. Come on, extend the hand, man. Like, how did you start in radio? I started as an intern.
Yeah.
I suggest you start as an intern at your favorite radio station. You want to be on, like, share some secrets. Don't share the entire recipe, but damn, I needed guidance when I was in community college.
And the thing is that no matter how much you give somebody pointers or direction or information, they still got to do the work.
And nobody can do it like that.
So nobody's going to do the work for you.
Right.
So, but a mí no me duele nada to help somebody else, especially somebody who looks like me.
Yeah.
And I think like that was the thing I was inspired about Tiffany, because I was like, when I get in the position, I'm going to go get some Latinos, because Latinos don't do that. It's just, and some of them do, but not a lot of them don't. And it's the fear that they might surpass me. And then the other thing is like, well, he's Mexican and I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Puerto Rican or they're not Mexican. And it's like, we need solidarity. You see what Asian people did? Asian people have the same dynamic that we do. The Japanese and the Chinese and the Vietnamese, they always have had these rivalries, but they figured out we can't do that in Hollywood. So they pool them. They're very good at pooling. They pool their money, they pool their resources, and they Crazy Rich Asians and Aquafina, and now you see Ali Wong, because they made a decision to say,
let's unite.
Let's do this. And Latinos need to do that too. And if it drives me crazy. If you're Puerto Rican and if you're Cuban and you don't think immigration is your issue, it is, because you're Latino. And if you're Puerto Rican, you should care about the Mexicans. And if you're Mexican, you should care about the Puerto Ricans, because we're stronger together.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying. It drives me crazy.
Hell yeah. You know what? Yes. Oh my God. You couldn't have said it better. We were just talking yesterday, Tat, on air, that it's a very black and white industry. Like, we're living in a very black and white world, but yet Latinos, the brown people, are the people that are making these white, black people rich. We're consuming everything. Because we were talking about how Huggies diapers, they just did this, they're getting props because they're featuring a black, African American father. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not knocking that. But I mean, diversity is Asian, brown, black, Persian, a little bit. There's Latinos that are great fathers too. But it's not just black fathers.
But you know what it is the racism is so deep that they've always portrayed black fatherhood as being invisible.
Yeah.
That they want props for when it shouldn't even be an initiative. That should just be natural. It should be the brown father today,
like,
the black father.
Right, like with like my kids, the mother of my kids, I'll be like, man, I do this for my kids, and I she's like, yeah, and you're their dad. You're supposed to do this shit.
I do gotta give it up to Tat and to any man or woman that definitely prioritizes, you know, what they gotta prioritize, because some people really got their priorities messed up out there. It's like they'll say yes to this when they should really be saying yes to this. So if you got your priorities straight, I give it up to you. Reassess what your priorities are, okay? That's right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, I guess you are right, huh?
I met this guy and I was like, I'm not dating him. He said this to me, oh, I can't make it this weekend. I gotta babysit my kids. I was out of there. I was like, you don't babysit your own kids, you dumb fuck.
He said that?
Yeah. He was like, I'm babysitting this weekend. I'm like, whose kids? Oh, no, mine. No, you don't babysit your own kids.
Never. Those words never have come out of my mouth. Wait, those are just my kids. They're with me. You know,
they're with their dad.
Yeah, I get the vibe, Tat. You'll say no to a date if you have your kids, right?
Of course. Come on. You know, my kids are my dates. I have a better time with my kid than some of these fucking viejas I go out with. You know what I'm saying? They're more entertaining. They're funnier, and they're
loyal. They're gonna be there.
Yeah, and they're not with me because of my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they're you know, we can go into a TGI Fridays instead of going to the freaking
Nobu. Nobu is so overrated.
But you know what? Without saying any names, George Lopez, we freaking remember when we were at the fucking rooftop of the Dream Hotel?
Yes.
And he just like comes up like, and we're like, we both know George very well. I know him very well, and like we're like, hey George, what's up? You know, and he's like, hey, what's up? Right? It was like,
but you know what? It's one of those things where it's like you feel awkward versus like if I see Fluffy, Gabriel, he's like, what's up, Roxy? What's up? You know, or Felipe.
What's up, fool?
And you know, the craziest part about it is that he was supposed to be waiting for somebody at the Dream Hotel. Girl, the whole time we were there, he was sitting alone at his table. And I'm like, you could have been kicking it with two cool ass people.
Exactly. We're like, hey, you know, we got a new. This was when we were just about to do our morning show together. We're like, hey, we got a new morning show coming out, George. We'd love to have you on. Like, well, you know, talk to my manager about it. We'll see what's up. Like, yo, motherfucker, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? I knew this fucking guy pretty fucking well. Like, and well enough to say, like,
hell yeah,
we used to call each other. He's picked me up before. Like, yo, what happened to that? I don't get it. It's just crazy. I'm just saying that overall. And I'll say his name because I don't care. It's not like we're breaking bread and we're gonna hang out tomorrow.
I think we gotta hold each other accountable. I think it's important to say, amen. Listen, this is the one thing about Kevin Hart that I respect so much. I respect a lot of things about Kevin, but this above all things. He's never abandoned his black community because he knows that he has to come home. That once the business is done with you, because they are always done with, you know what I mean? Eddie Murphy ain't what the Eddie Murphy used to be. Yeah. They always looking for the next thing. He can always come home because he didn't shit on his people, right? So Kevin Hart is always gonna have a strong fan base of people who will always love him because he never abandoned
This is a great point right there.
You know what I mean? You gotta always be able to come home. So and listen, I love Felipe personally. Felipe is my friend. We've done shows together. We've done a pilot together.
He just did our show a couple weeks ago.
Always operates from joy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know Gabriel Iglesias, but every single time que lo veo, he's always happy and he's
cool,
joy.
Man.
But when you see people like that who look like all bitter and shit, it really has nothing to do with you because people who operate from joy have no reason to shit on you. Right. You know what I mean? So you gotta be
It's like what are you?
But you know what? Let me tell you something. The great thing about that scene, me and Raq-C were having a better time.
Yeah, we were.
We were having a couple drinks. We were having lunch.
We
were laughing.
I think they even gave us a free drink.
Yes.
You guys look happy though.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to fuck with us that day. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. George right there just like,
And then we saw Becky G.
Yeah.
And then I've known Becky since she was 11, and she was like, hey girl. And she was taking a power meeting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, George was still eating by himself.
You know what's funny? I only met George Lopez once, and he actually called me, pulled me to the side to tell me that I did well at the Laugh Factory because I went up after him and he was like, good job. But it was D.O. Hughley and Arsenio Hall, and they were all like, when I finished, they were like, tell her to come here.
Yeah.
And then George pulled me to the side and he was like, that was a good job. But I don't know George like that. So I've only heard the terror stories.
say in Spanish, si el río suenas porque piedras caen. Like if people are, if you hear it more than 3 times,
but he's really good. He's very good friends with one of my friends. What I want to say is, if there's something going on and I don't want to shit on him, I just want to say, George, if you need somebody to talk to, the people love him.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
He's a funny guy.
Yeah,
he does great stand-up.
But the business makes a lot of people bitter. That's why you can't find your joy from what the business says. Because when they love you, they're like, ah. And then they start, oh, no, but look, there's Fluffy. Oh, look, there's Christella. And then they start making you feel, and that some people get bitter. You know, some people. And I don't know what the deal is with him. All I know is that there shouldn't be that many people saying that about you. So George, come home, because we want to help you.
Yeah, well, we know the business with you. You're very funny, you're very talented, you're beautiful. We can't wait for your Netflix special.
Yay!
I'm gonna go back and do my it was my first time meeting Aida Rodriguez. I liked her. I thought she was very funny, but I just didn't like how much taller she was than me. HBO and my Showtime.
It's in English.
I gotta check this out. Last Comic Standing. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me. It was such a. This show is like awesome. The whole room feels good.
Thank you.
You know why? And there's nothing but Latinos in here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You
got our colors too. We got that güero.
Hey, he can catch a fly with his bare hand. You know, but
so can my mom. With the chancla in the other hand.
Did you have a crazy ass mom growing up? You did, huh?
Oh, like everybody else. My mother. I'll end with this. My mother was putting my hair into ponytails. My head hurt, and my mom was like, "Oh, ¿qué te pasa? Why does your head hurt?" My friend goes, "It's because Miss Pagliaro keeps hitting her in the head with those fat pencils." So my mom finishes my hair. The next day I go to school. I'm lining up. And when I'm lining up, I see my mother standing by this pole in the school, right?
Uh-oh.
So she goes, "Who's Miss Pagliaro?" Because she don't have any filters. You know, she's asking the whole campus, "Who's Miss Pagliaro?" And of course, little kids are like, "That's Miss Pagliaro." The next thing I know, my mother is in front of Miss Pagliaro, hitting her in the head with her shoe.
Oh.
She was like, "You like to hit my daughter? You want to hit my daughter in the head with a pencil? Toma."
Yeah.
So they retained my mother and take her to the office. They're like, "We're gonna call the police because we're gonna file a report." And she goes, "Well, good. So I gotta file a report too." And the principal was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You file your report for assault, and I'm gonna file my report for child abuse. So call the police so that we can both go to jail." And they sent her home. They sent her home. I was like, yo, I love my mom. But
you gotta love it. And also,
ride or die.
Yeah, man. A weapon for any Latino is a chancla. So
absolutely.
Man, a shoe, a chancla. So be careful, right?
Once you see the shoe come off, it's on and popping.
It is. Aida, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You guys are great. And you're doing great. You don't need anybody else. You are enough. And look, this is right here. This bitch right here is fire.
That's my bitch right here.
I
love her.
No, you know. And you know, to sum it all up, you know, Aida's a funny woman, very gorgeous, beautiful woman. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's no better way to end it than giving Raq-C her props. Beautiful. I have a great time doing radio with her. I actually truly meant every single word that I meant there. I've never done radio like this, but as far as being funny, definitely give the crown to Aida. Not Raq-C. Yeah, I'm not gonna give her that one. Everything else, I'll give it to her. But thank you, Aida, for doing the show. You know, we just took you to stardom, right? Yeah. It's honestly, it's a freaking. I've done radio with a couple different co-hosts, females, and by far, it's like the best radio show
she was born for this.
I've ever done. Because you know what it is, Raq-C's her own.
Yeah.
She's her own. Like Raq-C don't need me. Raq-C don't. We just teamed up together to make this dynamic duo of radio.
And it's great. It's just it works.
It works. And I'm a hopeful romantic. I'm in love with the concept of love.
La La Land.
And he hates that about me, but it's okay.
But I love her. If I didn't love her, I wouldn't love her.
But I want to see you happy one day.
Yes.
I want to see you happy too.
Yes.
Well, how do you guys know I ain't happy?
But not J.Lo happy though.
No,
she's real happy.
She needs a tattoo in her life.
This is why I don't date guys in the industry.
I don't want you to be like.
And we really do have like this love and hate, brother and sister relationship, and it just makes for good fun radio.
I'm gonna do a video of my engagement for Instagram, and then you hear action. I don't want you to have to do that.
Yeah, Raq-C,
What?
don't do that. Don't do that. You know, I want to hear about it, not see it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's when you know.
I'ma just come through and be like, Tad, guess what? What? I'm 2 months pregnant. What?
All right, man. You guys.
That baby's gonna be born with a face tattoo.
Yeah, Ida's the interview with Aida definitely showed me the difference between like a real stand-up comedian and Raq-C, who sometimes thinks she's a stand-up comedian. Yeah, there's a big difference. How can people follow you?
I'm on Funny Aida, AIDA on Instagram and Twitter, and then on Facebook is facebook.com Aida.Rodriguez. So come
Funny Aida on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
I love how Aida rolls her R's. Rodriguez.
Yeah, because they say Puerto Ricans can't. Some Puerto Ricans say Rodriguez because they can't say the R's because they're.
Yeah, but you roll that shit good.
All right, ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen, the one and only Aida Rodriguez will be
Yay!